Learn when to shut the fuck up sometimes. So Black American reparations never had anything to do with immigration status or what year Black people came here. That's all made up. The United States gave reparations to Black Americans already through Sherman's Field Order Number 15 in exchange for our participation in the Civil War. Then they took it back. Not because of Native Americans or us being Native Americans, not because of Asians, not because of Black people that came and snuck over here after the slavery was over. Actually, they were helping the Confederates in the South. The Union Army that we helped actually betrayed Black Americans after we helped them win the war and become a United States. Before the United States even existed, Black Americans were part of three separate colonies under three separate countries: the British, the French, and the Spanish. Black Americans became U.S. citizens and thus became Black Americans as you know us today through expansion geopolitically and through war. It wasn't one singular event that created Black Americans. There was the 1803 Louisiana Purchase, the 1819 Adams-Onis Treaty, the 1836 Republic of Texas, the 1845 Texas Annexation, the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe and Hidalgo. This is why the law that actually made Black Americans citizens of the United States based on the 14th Amendment, the Naturalization Act of 1870, referred to us as Africans and persons of African descent, specifically continental Africans and persons of African descent. That is the definition of Black American by law that we helped create as members of the Union Army and people that fought in the Civil War. You see, back in 1865, there was a Union Army general named William T. Sherman. He issued Special Field Order Number 15, granting 400,000 acres in Charleston, South Carolina, and allotments of 40 acres, which is where Kendrick Lamar gets the phrase, 40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than the music. The 40 acres was actually 400,000 acres in Charleston, South Carolina, where 40% of Black Americans trace their lineage to this day. It's one of the biggest slave ports during that time. So it's strategic. It's very specific why that will be the place that we would be granted reparations. It was land. It was always about land and assets. The Freedmen's Bank is associated with that history. The establishment of HBCUs is associated with that same history. Black Americans' assimilation into U.S. citizenship, participation in voting and government. We elected over 2,000 elected officials during the 1870s, shortly after we became citizens. We participated in government. We elected over 6 congressmen. 2 of them came from New Orleans. Black American identity was very much a geopolitical act, an amalgamation of Black people who experienced different forms of slavery under different colonial powers and came from different African countries. Black families settled that land in Charleston, South Carolina. It wasn't a rumor. It wasn't a wish. It wasn't an idea that Black Americans had. It already happened. It was documented. And it's rightfully the possession of Black Americans who are associated with the history of fighting the Civil War on the behalf of the white people that won and created the United States. We were part of the creation of the Union. Black people were. More stories about that next. After Abraham Lincoln lost his life, Andrew Johnson, his former vice president, took over, ordered Black families off the land, gave it back to the Confederates, put the Confederates back in power over the Black people that helped the Union Army defeat the Confederates, which created the United States that we currently live in. So we were double-crossed by the white people that we served, not by fellow Black people from other countries speaking other languages or immigrating after slavery. That is a made-up and false claim. Also, reparations discussions, if y'all look at the minutes from the American Congress and in the White House archives and leadership, there was never any discussion about Black people being indigenous to the land. That never had anything to do with the reparations discussion. The reparations discussion to this day, is about revisiting that historical event of Black American participation in the Civil War and codifying the things given from Field Order Number 15 into law so that it can't be taken by another president who happens to be racist. If y'all actually read any of the bills that are currently out for reparations, they have nothing to do with immigration, with Black people from other countries. It is a distinct and historical event. There are receipts, there's a timeline. The waters are not muddied by any other groups of people, even if we share ancestry with them. So no, immigrants have nothing to do with Black American reparations. They did not take it. They're not the reason why white people won't give it to us. They have nothing to do with us in Black American reparations. Even though they have their own reparations claim that they are also entitled to, their reparations is a different form of reparations that has nothing to do with our 400,000 acres, our land allotments, or even the money that we end up getting to build HBCUs and the Freedmen's Bank. These are historical events. They are documented. We can revisit them. Those things can be granted. Those things can be granted again through legislation. And there's zero confusion about who the black people were that fought in the Civil War, or who they were related to, or what black people happened to be in the areas that those black Union Army men represented, right? There's no confusion about black people because this is a unique and historical event. We don't need a foundational Black American term. We don't need a Sulani term. Those terms were never created during any of this history. They were never part of any of this history. These are people trying to reinsert themselves into a history that has nothing to do with them. And I don't mean black people, I mean the specific black people on social media who do not read history, who do not educate themselves about black culture and black history, but try to educate other people about a history they know nothing about. Just being black is not enough. You got to open a book. Sorry. Also, black people were never on this land before Christopher Columbus. We were never on this land before indigenous people. We are not indigenous to this land. Some indigenous people had kids with Africans, and there are Afro-indigenous people. Please stop erasing them to make this pseudo-scientific black Indian Negro that y'all are trying to create. It never existed. It's not documented anywhere in U.S. history. Again, receipts. You can check them. Y'all be cool. I'm going to holler at y'all later on.
Oh no!
It's a cultural divide. I'ma get it on the flow.
You really about to do it?
40 acres in the mule. This is bigger than the music.